Hello again, everybody. It is me, Kat. How are you? I have quite the book for us today. It's called After the End by Natasha Preston. This is the first book that I've read by Natasha Preston, and I was very impressed. It's quite heavy. The subject matter is really sad, but so hopeful and really takes these two characters and their families really take you on such a journey. And I just, yeah, it definitely had the tears coming because wow. Okay, so let's get into it and talk about it. So the book is about Lincoln, and Tilly and their families, mostly about Tilly's family. You get both of their perspectives, which of course you know I really like. I did find the spot in the book where the title comes in, and that's, my second favorite thing about books besides reading the book. And wow. So the premise is that they're all from the same town. They have a group of friends. They live next door to each other. Linc is a couple years older and really good friends with Tilly's brother Robbie, as is Linc's brother Stanley. And Linc and Tilly have always had a special relationship. They've always been really good friends, even though there's, a small age difference between them. And they've always had a special connection. They spent a lot of time together in their teenage years, and growing up. And I don't think that they realize, well, my impression of reading was that they didn't realize that they were in love at that young age. They just knew that each other was like their favorite person. And so there's a catastrophic situation that happens in their families, and I don't think I'm giving anything away in saying that there's a car accident and Linc, Stanley, Robbie were all in the car together, and Robbie dies and Stanley's driving. So the book picks up right from the get-go 4 years later after that, and that's Linc is coming. So Linc, Stanley, and their parents have moved from the town because Stanley actually got a very light he didn't do any time. He really wasn't held. He was kind of held responsible, not really. And of course, people in the town and Tilly and her family are devastated, irreversibly devastated. And not that they get pushed out of town, but Linc and his family leave town because it's no longer comfortable for them to live there. So, like I said, picks up 4 years later after that with Tilly's family kind of trying to figure out what the new normal is. And, anybody that goes through losing somebody so close to you like that, like your brother, your parents, your friend, whatever, you know how grief is a really personal thing, and it affects everybody differently. It affects everybody in stages. The 7 stages of grief. My personal connection in losing my brother 4.5 years ago, I don't think I'll ever get over it. He died on the heels of our mom 2 months before that. So my point in telling you that is that grief is such a hard thing. And I think Natasha Preston did a wonderful job of showing her, meaning Tilly, her grief and what that looks like, and what that looks like for Tilly in this book. And I have to wonder, how she was able to write it so beautifully and so raw and so vulnerably. Tilly really just pulled at my heartstrings so much. And her parents, her mom in particular, I really connected to them so deeply. And that's why it was kind of hard for me to read it. I loved it, but it was a tough one. So worth every word and every page to get to the end, you know? So that being said, Linc comes back into town because his parents have decided that they're going to sell their house. And so having it sit vacant for 4 years, it needs a little, some touch-ups and, some fresh paint, whatever. So Linc decides to come back and he's going to do the work. He actually did some damage to the house in his own grief before they left, so he felt like going back and doing that, taking care of it, was going to be cathartic for him. And he also realized when he left how much Tilly meant to him, and in losing her through this process, he went back for her and realized that he needs her, and he needs to make it right with her, and that's their story. So as you can imagine, he's not real well received. I mean, how hard is it? Their friends and the other, people in their community, they're so heartbroken for Linc's family that this happened, but yet they see Stanley and his and their parents, not that they weren't affected by it, but did everything they could to protect their child through the process, and how Linc feels about that. And then, Tilly and her family, and they lost a child and a brother, and what it's like, in their process. And, and then the friends that they all lost too. They lost this great young man in Robbie. And how do they support Linc and his family and Tilly and her family? And it was so much. I loved their group of friends, the minor characters. I really liked that. I really liked how they were, and it showed what a connection they all had. And, I've had lifelong friends, and sometimes you get back with them and it's like no time has passed, and you just pick right back up, and they know you, and they know you because they knew you your whole life, and, really special. And Natasha portrayed those relationships really well. I really liked that. And I wondered how the heck, because Tilly's not receptive. She doesn't know how she feels about him being there. She misses him desperately, and misses what they had and the closeness and the intimacy, even though they were just friends. That's the kind of intimacy I mean. She misses that so much in her life because her brother was also her best friend. So she not only lost her brother, but she lost Linc at the same time, and she's so mad about it. And I didn't know how they were going to get there. I really didn't. I mean, sometimes you read a story and you kind of feel like, you can see the bird, the breadcrumbs that the author leaves for you. I couldn't find them. I just could not find them. And I love that. That's great. I'm glad I couldn't, I'm glad that I was so trying to figure out, just when I thought, okay, this is where she's going to break down and let him in a little bit. She surprised me, and she didn't. And, my heart pulled for her so much in that she didn't want anything bad for him. She didn't understand his parents. She really didn't understand. She was kind of, she's totally pissed off at his parents and his brother. But she couldn't find that about him, although she was angry that she was like, why did you let him drive, But anybody would ask that question. So I really wondered how they were going to get there. Because of their connection and their friends, when Linc comes back into town, like I said before, he's embraced right back into the fold. But he's tiptoeing around that because, he kind of thinks that he knows how Tilly feels about him. He doesn't want to make things harder on her family seeing him, because literally he's right next door. But yet the friends are kind of glad, and they want to nurture, and they want to feel good, and help him. So he kind of gets right back into the fold with the friend group. But he's tiptoeing, making sure he's not hurting Tilly's feelings and coming around too much. And she's like, but he deserves his friends. So she's pulling back a little bit and tiptoeing around. And and yet they're drawn to each other, and that's undeniable, and neither one of them know what to do with that. Well, Linc knows more what to do with it. Tilly doesn't know really what to do about that. She feels extremely guilty that she still feels that way, and she feels like she should hate him. In the process, as you can imagine, she's completely lost herself. She had a plan for her life, and she has veered off that plan. She she takes literally one day at a time, and when you're grieving, that's the best you can do. And her parents now, they go from having 2 children to 1 child, and what that does to them and their little family. And she's afraid to leave, because she's afraid if she leaves, her parents will fall apart. And she doesn't know if they're strong enough for her to want to be ready to take that step. And she's kind of ready to take that next step, to go to college, to take that next step to where her life's going to go and get unstuck in what they are and where they've been for the past 4 years. And it's something I thought was very, Linc is sad that that's happened to her and that she's stuck. And he's not afraid to have those hard conversations with her if she let him. He's the one that can say to her, Tilly, you can't live for your parents. You have to live for yourself. Your brother wouldn't want you to live here, stuck in this grief. Your parents, they don't want you to do that either. They're nervous and they don't want you to be away, but they also don't want you to not live your life. How are you honoring your brother if you stop and you don't go any farther? And he's willing to have those conversations with her at the very least, because he wants her to get back into life and find out where the next step is going to be for herself. And I thought that was really special about him. He kind of took that on, that regardless of where their relationship went, he wanted that for her, and he knew he could help her get there. They both really struggle with every move they make regarding each other, whether it's directly to each other or in their friend group or being around. And at one point, Linc just carries this overwhelming, overwhelming guilt about that night. And he's working through his own process in what happened. And he just says to her one time, things will never go back to the way they used to be. And he's so sorry. And all the emotion that is written on these pages, you feel it all. And if, you have any of these same relationships in your life, and you go there imagining what this book is telling you, and you just are like, you get just pulled right in, and you're like, God, I know exactly how he feels, or I would feel the same way, or I would do the same thing that she did, or as a mom, I would be afraid too. She does such a good job of pulling all of that out of you, and you connecting to their story so easily like that, even though it's so heavy. I've talked a little bit about how Tilly's they're all just kind of stuck where they are. And I kind of felt like she was comfortable there. She was comfortable being stuck in a way. And it took Linc coming back to ruffle her feathers a little bit. And I think it was such a, we all get stuck. We all need to learn something new once in a while, or go someplace new once in a while, or experience something new once in a while. And she's so afraid of taking a step forward. And yet she watches her mom, and she's like, sometimes I think she only gets out of bed for me. And that responsibility that she has on her own shoulders, she feels like she has on her own shoulders about her mom. And, she's such a beautiful woman. She's got a rockin' body, and the sadness that I see on her face every day is debilitating. I'm paraphrasing, but, watching all that, it's hard to make a move. And especially because it was such a time in Tilly's life where she was, getting ready to go away to college. So it was a big time. It would be a big change. And I really did feel like she was kind of comfortable. And that's okay. I'm not judging her as a character, But Linc came at the right time. And that's where I think I got so much hope, even though it was a sad book, because the subject matter is very sad. That's where a lot of the hope came from. So when Tilly finally starts to let her guard down a little bit with him, she said something that really, like even right now, makes me tear up, because it was so beautifully said and worded. And so I'd like to read it, because I want to get it exactly right. She's talking about Linc. He smells good, like him, like the past, like a million times I've laughed and felt free and safe. Oh my God. It just killed me. Because she's going, back to a happier time with him. And yet she needs that safety and security of being with Linc, her friend, to give her the strength to move forward, just in herself, regardless of their relationship. But he provides her this stability and this, grounding. And as soon as she puts her arms around him and smells him, that's what she gets. Oh, it was amazing. I loved that. So here's where the title comes in. And again, just Natasha's words. They were just amazing. I just love, this is why I love reading. This is why I'm not a writer, because I can't get the words, but reading them, it's the best. So this is where the title comes in, and again, worded beautifully. It's Tilly talking to Linc, and Linc, Linc has such faith in them. It's awesome. So she says, how can you be so sure that this will end well? I mean, them finally getting together? I mean, that's a whole thing, right? And he says, because it already ended 4 years ago when I left. Now we're after the end, Tilly, and that shit's eternal. See, Linc, I have such a soft spot in my heart. He was the one that was like, we can do this. We just will figure it out. But as long as we're together and people see that we are okay, your parents will be okay. My parents will be okay. They can be okay. I think they both know that if and when they can figure out how to be together, it will be forever. So how can they live their lives in a relationship together if everything else doesn't align as well? If she can be around his parents and his brother without this horrible feeling and being so mad at them, can she get over that and make peace with that for him? On the flip side, same thing with her parents. Can they accept him and his family? Because, if you're going to be together, your families are together too, And just when I think that they're going to do it, somebody comes back. Somebody throws a wrench in there. And I thought it was really interesting and really amazing how he is accepted. And I was kind of like, yeah. I really rooted for Tilly and Linc in that, and I really wanted that other person to skedaddle. And then I kind of felt bad, because I was like, oh, but not like all is forgiven and it's all wrapped up in a bow because, somebody died, but the journey that we go on with them to find a way to be together, and if they can do that, and it turns out that, some people just kind of never change, and he wasn't real likable to begin with, and he gets put in his place. And so when he ended up leaving, I was like, yeah, bye, we don't need you. We're just going to focus on these two over here, you know? So it was really good. I highly recommend this book. This was quite a journey, and I really felt like I understood these characters organically. I had shared some of the same things that they had, and I just really love Natasha Preston's writing now. Add another fabulous author to my list of let me devour everything that they write. I swear to God, I need more hours in the day, don't you, to be able to read? Because I don't, there's so, I think I'm all like, I can't even talk. I think I have something like 200 books on my to-be read list, and I don't necessarily I can't do audiobooks. I try, and I'm trying. But I have to be able to focus. And so, in any case, I know that's an easy way to read more books is to do, or listen to a book instead of read it. But in any case, I highly recommend After the End by Natasha Preston. Let me know if you have read it in the comments below, or any of her other books that she has released. I'm such a fan now. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening to me talk about After the End. I really appreciate it. I will see you soon.